I'm Rick Dancer. This is What's Happening Downtown Eugene, and today we have Mayor Kitty Piercy, Eugene Mayor, who opened a can of worms.
Yes.
We're talking about the homeless issue, the travelers issue, kind of downtown focus. As I read it, you took a walk downtown, and what concerned you?
So first of all, I just want to say I'm not in my normal mayor garb.
I love this. This is like our mayor. You know, she's got a ball cap on, but you were to function today.
Today I was up on Spencer's Butte because the new trail opening is wonderful. People should all go. It's a great walk and took a couple hours. It was pretty good.
Well,
yeah.
I think it's very Eugene of you. So
Yeah.
anyway, so you took a walk downtown Eugene, and what concerned you, Mayor?
Well, of course, I've been very a big fan of the reinvigoration of downtown. We have over $300 million in investment in our downtown. I feel very grateful and pleased to see what's going on down here. And as I was walking across, it was a day when there was just a huge amount of people sprawled out all over the sidewalks from one part of town to the other. And I was just feeling like it's hard if we don't find a better way to share our public spaces because they're being dominated by one group of people, and I want them not to get rid of them, but I want to figure out a way for us all to be able to enjoy our public spaces together in our downtown. It's good for the people who live here, it's good for the people who want to come downtown, and it's good for the people who do business here.
Because we thought we did. We were right. We brought all this business downtown. The city helped, and you targeted.
After 40 years.
Yeah, and there's successful businesses down there.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us kind of thought that maybe some of the issues with travelers and people hanging out down there on the mall, that might dissipate a little bit, and it really hasn't. It's just kind of increased. And is that when you kind of think, we need to have a conversation?
And we need to have a conversation. And I also think that some other places have larger downtowns. Our downtown is kind of a relatively small, compressed area for everything to be in. So I think that probably adds to the challenges that we have. And I suppose if you're somebody who is depending on the largesse of others to get through your day, this is the place you'd go. You can't go to Oakway, you can't go to Valley River. Those are privately owned and they won't let you do it. So there's a very limited amount of spaces where you can actually try to panhandle. And so I'm sure that's one of the reasons that people are attracted who are either visiting or find themselves in need of those resources.
And we have restrictions that we can't stop some of the panhandling and that sort of thing.
I think people are very confused about that. I don't know how many people I've told about that. They say, just get them out of here. And I go, well, the Oregon Constitution actually says that people have the right to stand or sit on public space. And they also have the right to panhandle. The Oregon Constitution considers that to be asking for a charitable contribution. What they don't have the right to do is step out into traffic. What they don't have the right to do is to be too aggressive towards people and make them feel like they have to defend themselves. That is not protected behavior.
And one of your concerns is that you're hearing from other people who are saying, well, I haven't been downtown because I don't feel safe, or I don't feel comfortable, I feel intimidated because of the travelers that are blocking all over the streets.
And part of that's just a mental set, as you and I have discussed. I have never been accosted by anyone. But I do sometimes walk on the other side of the street because so much of the sidewalk is taken up by a particular group of people that I don't want to have to figure how to maneuver around them. So I will walk on the other side of the street. And I just want to say that we need to have our public spaces be so that everybody can enjoy them and feel like they're pleasant to be at and want to come down to the downtown belongs to all of us. So that's important.
So the Oregonian, in an editorial recently, mentions Eugene Mayor Kitty Piercy. We need her up here opening up this conversation too, because they're having the same sort of issues, more spread out and in different neighborhoods, but they're having the same issues.
Right.
And really what you're asking for is a conversation.
Right. Inviting the public in to say, how do we want it? If this is not a new issue, it's an exacerbated issue, but if we don't want it this way, then what are we willing to do to try to make it better? And not in a law enforcement way or an exclusion way, but in a way of how we share our spaces in a way that works for all of us.
I like what we were talking before you guys joined us, and I had a boss, you and I were kind of agreeing, I had an old boss, Alan Beck, and he used to say at our newsroom, if you don't have a solution, you don't get to come in my office and complain. And you're not saying that, but you're saying, let's bring solutions to the table. Let's.
Well, I think we could all complain. It's easy to complain. Complaining is probably the easiest thing there is to do, and some of us are really good at it.
Yeah, I bet you.
But what I want to invite people to do is to really think about what they think would make it more comfortable for them. How do they have suggestions of how we deal with that, and how do we build that belief that coming downtown is going to be a good experience for everybody. And I'm certainly willing to. I'm guessing there's not going to be one magic bullet kind of answer.
Right.
I think it's going to be a series of things. It could be there are people who are really good at placemaking, how you put things in your community to try to guide what you'd like to have happen. I'd like to have somebody that's professional that take a look and give us their ideas. I've certainly welcomed the public to give me their ideas. I had a woman who stopped me on the trail this morning. She said, I was going to email you, because I'd be willing to be one of those people who goes down and talks to those folks and tries to see what they need and tries to tell them that how we'd like them to be. So
Right.
I know there are people who would do that, and I've gotten lots and lots of emails from folks. This is not the Register Guard troll line. This is really people sincerely writing and saying, thank you for bringing this topic up. We really need to deal with it. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to think with you about it. Here's a couple of suggestions I have for you to put into your thinking. So I appreciate that. That gets us somewhere.
We need a lot of that.
Yeah, we do.
So we're going to continue the conversation on Rick Dancer TV on YouTube. That's all for the show, but we're going to continue this. If you want to see more of the interview, just go to YouTube, Rick Dancer TV. So what I wanted to ask you, Kitty, also is as we go through this, how do we keep this from becoming the villain, where each side goes, you don't like the homeless, you want to get rid of this, you're doing this, and keep the conversation on this positive level where it's going, I think we all want to help people, we just also want to have our streets so that they're not.
So I think it's hard, but I will say a lot of people got what I said. A lot of people said, oh, I understand what you're saying. You're not saying, I don't like you, I want to get rid of you. You're really saying, how can we all share our public spaces in a way that works for all of us, including the folks that are monopolizing some of the spaces right now.
And how do you differentiate, or can you, between a traveler and a homeless person? Is there a way?
Well, some people hate for me to try to parse that out, because I would say that within the homeless population, you can't put them all in one box. There are a wide variety of people who end up unhoused for a wide variety of reasons with a wide variety of needs. I think the same thing with looking at people who are visiting our community for a period of time and sitting on our streets. They're probably just as varied. So, but they are to a large extent people who don't intend to stay here. They're just here for a while, and they readily say that when you ask them. They will just say, yeah,
Right.
I'm here for a while. Maybe I come through every year. Maybe I come through because I'm on my way to Seattle or somewhere else. So I'm just here for a while.
Is there a way, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but I can't always we can't tell how people are going to take it, but is there a way to make it less attractive to people coming from outside the community who are just coming in through to kind of come through town and sit?
Well, I guess we could be nasty.
No, we don't want to be nasty.
So, because one of the things people say is that people in Eugene are nice and kinder than a lot of places.
Right.
So the good side of that is we are kinder and nicer than a lot of places. The bad side of that is we probably get overwhelmed with some of the folks who need that. So that's a challenge, but I don't want us to be different than we are in that regard. And I don't. Some people would say if you were just tougher on them when they're here, but I have to say it's not against the law to look a certain way.
Right.
It's not against the law to wear certain kinds of clothes. And even the dog issue, I just came across town, all of them had their dogs on
Leashes.
on leashes.
They usually do.
So it's just that sort of massing and taking up so much of the public space that feels uncomfortable to people. And we all have our ideas of who we like to look at and who we don't. And I certainly am not in that area. I'm not that kind of person. So this is not about whether I like or don't like. I do think people ought to be able to walk across town without hearing somebody make some unpleasant comments. I think that's a fair thing.
And one thing you said that when we were just talking before this came up is, and I like that, but then again, we're looking for ideas, but this was one idea that I thought was really good, is if we had a group of people, or people, you know, like we have the folks that are down on the street kind of patrolling and watching, maybe we haven't articulated our standard.
Right.
What is it that our community really wants? What is acceptable? Standing on the corner yelling at people is not acceptable. So, but we haven't gone and had someone to say that.
There are signs in Portland that say, this sidewalk is for walking.
Right.
Right? And they show pictures of people in wheelchairs and people with their dogs and people walking. The implication is we want to keep this free, mobile, right?
And it stays, I would guess that it probably stays that way too.
I don't know the answer to that yet. But I do know that we are not clearly articulating to people what we want as a community. We have our reaction to what we don't want, and that's pretty strong right now. I think we have to be better. It's wrong to be mad at people when you haven't told them what you want.
Right. Were you at all, and I don't want to say fearful, because people take things so weird, but were you apprehensive about bringing this up?
Of course, I knew.
I would think
but I didn't. So here's the way it works for me. I'm concerned about it. When I'm concerned about things and really thinking about them, I've been thinking about this for a long time. How do we get to a new place? It's not like I haven't seen it, and not like we haven't been working on a lot of, we've been programming downtown, the summer in the city.
Right.
We've been working on a lot of strategies to make
huge fun and all. I mean, people are downtown.
Yeah, we've done a lot, but we still haven't quite gotten that one fixed. And so I was just thinking about it, and so I sent a message to council and to staff and say, I'm really thinking about this, and I think we can do better, and we ought to. If we can solve the reinvigoration thing, certainly we ought to be able to take this one on too. And if something doesn't work, let's try something until we figure it out. That's the way we get things done around here, right? You don't just say, oh, that didn't work, now I'm going to go away for another 20 years. That just doesn't,
not anymore,
that doesn't work.
No.
So I wanted to let them know that I was going to be on this thing and that I wasn't going to let it just sit. I was taking it up, and I was going to ask them to take it up with me. And then RG reporter Ed Russo goes through my mail every week, and so he
saw the letter.
He saw it, and he said, whoa, that's a good one. So then it ended up in the newspaper, and then everybody engaged. I think they had more. I didn't read them because I don't want to punish myself, but I think they had more responses to that article in the RG than maybe anyone they've had. It was hundreds and hundreds of people were commenting on this issue, and emails poured in and bollocksed up everybody's email systems because people do care, and they do want to solve it. They do want to do better.
Well, that's all I have for you, but I really I thank you for opening this conversation, because I think if people out there can keep it from becoming screaming and pointing fingers, and instead go, okay, so what are some good ideas? I think we can get through that thing, and this, it doesn't mean we don't care. We do care about our community, and we also can care about these folks who are coming through.
I've tried really hard, and as I said, a lot of people seem to get it, that I was trying to frame it not how do we get rid of these people.
Right.
I was trying to frame it about how can we all use our public spaces well and make them work for everybody in our community. And isn't that what we should do? And shouldn't we take it seriously and work at it till we get it done?
All right. So it's in your court.
Yep.
Get involved and no complaining.
Solutions.
Bring solutions. That's the only way we're going to solve this, and quit pointing fingers. Thanks for being with us. And Mayor, thanks for joining us on What's Happening Downtown Eugene.